Hi, welcome to the Sunday International Big Book Workshop. I'm Dan, I'm a recovered alcoholic, sobriety date 1st Feb 21. This workshop is facilitated by Kemble H. This study relies on you listening, but please, we pray that you have your big book in hand and follow along with a pencil or paper, highlighter, make any notes you need and pause if you have to. Write down any questions and we will take them at the end of the meeting. We will keep everybody muted during this workshop except for the facilitators. Any inappropriate behaviour will not be tolerated and you will be removed by one of the co-hosts. This meeting is being recorded. The audio portion only is being recorded and only of the facilitators. The recording will be shut down at the end of the class before taking any questions in order to preserve your anonymity. Have a great meeting. And how we open this meeting is with the step 3 prayer found on page 63. God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. Thank you, guys. Over to you, Kemble.
Okay, thank you, Dan, for opening up. And happy Sunday, everybody. God bless your day. I'm a recovered alcoholic named Kimball. This is our Sunday International Big Book Study. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit more about alcoholism. Last week, we touched on there is a solution. So we found out a solution that we need in the course of action. But there's still some more questions we need to ask ourselves. And we're going to see some examples here in this chapter about we're going to be discussing the mind. You know, the problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than in his body. So we're going to discuss some of them things. See, on one side of the picture, we see what we call a fellowship. I was just talking to my buddy about this fellowship, right? I was in fellowship of AA for over 30 years. And I never found a solution because they didn't present me a solution. So fellowship was never enough for me. People used to tell me, go to meetings, make meetings, meeting makers make it. But you know what? Every meeting I went to, I ended up drinking afterward. But they didn't present me a solution. They was using their own opinions, their own guidelines, and they simply did not pick the book up and say, Kim, this is how we do it. But thank God, finally, right before the pandemic hit, I had a sponsor approach me and he took me through these 12 steps and it brought about a personality change sufficient enough for me to recover from alcoholism. So we see some of the older members, right? They the one used to tell me all this thing. But I'd call it, as I got this from Tony a long time ago, this old Burger King sobriety. People tell me, take what you want and leave the rest alone. Well, shoot, I'm an alcoholic. What do you mean take this and leave this alone? I couldn't leave drinking alone. So if this program is supposed to help me, I need to get everything I can out of it. But as I say, that wasn't fully explained to me until I darn near killed myself 100 times from drinking alcohol because I knew I was going to act a whole different way. So, but you know, this thing works as a two-way street. The best example I got is one alcoholic helping another instead of a bunch of guys in a fellowship. See, the one alcoholic helping another is what helped me recover from alcoholism. But they showed me by the book how they did it and what I need to do. Precise directions, follow the clear-cut directions in this book, right? So in AA today, you know, we hear people talking about some power that's greater than us, and it's something more than human power. Then you hear people say, oh, it's only by the grace of God. That's true. And because of God, as I understand him, you hear these phrases, or because of the power greater than I am, I have not found it necessary to take a drink. So we hear this word power, we hear this word God. And you know, the solution is actually a vital spiritual experience. So that's what we see when we join Alcoholics Anonymous. See, and I need to come to Alcoholics Anonymous because a clown like me, I couldn't stop myself from drinking. And when I took a drink, I couldn't control the amounts that I took. I tried every human thing possible. Jails and institutions, near deaths, all of that. Treatment centers, psych wards, detox centers, none of that stuff worked for me because it didn't solve my alcohol problem. And then I want to relate to this. The big book tells, well, you can't give away something you haven't got, right? That's on page 164 in the vision for you. So, you know, sometime down the line, right, people tend to forget of working the program that's outlined in the book. Then they start measuring their successes by, well, how long you been sober? I've been sober 20 years. So I'm above you, right? It's not the how long you've been sober, it's the quality of your sobriety, right? Because you can be sober for 50 years and you can be restless, irritable, and discontented. I've seen it in the fellowship that I was in for the many years. But when I found this Keystone group, wow, it was solid sobriety, it was big book based, it was God based, and that commenced to solve my problem. So, you know, and that comes from good sponsorship and good teachings in this, because I joined this big book workshop, well, over 3 years. It's been right at 3 years now. And it taught me so much. You know, my sponsors, co-partners like Dan here, he's been around this group for a while. Joe and Tony, these guys, all of them work with me directly. And it did so much for me. Excuse me 1 minute. So, and more about alcoholism, I'd like to start here on the first page, page 30, as a matter of fact. If you got your big book and pen, that'd be great. Or you may want to take some notes, because these points we have to emphasize and re-emphasize. That's what it took for me to get this thing. So then at the top of page 30, you can go all the way down to we get worse, never better.
Yeah, cool.
I go from there.
Page 30, more about alcoholism. Most of us being willing to admit we were real alcoholics. No person likes to think he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove we could drink like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, he will control and enjoy his drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. We learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. The delusion that we are like other people is, or presently may be, has to be smashed. We alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking. We know that no real alcoholic ever recovers control. All of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led into time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. We are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of a progressive illness. Over any considerable period, we get worse, never better.
Okay, thank you, brother. No doubt. Now, we'll be talking about, this is, you know, we're going to discuss in depth the state of the mind that precedes the first drink. So it says, no person likes to think he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. Now, this is a truth that most of us have been unwilling to accept. I knew it was in my experience. I couldn't accept the fact that I was different than other people. No, I could drink just like y'all could drink. But my problem was I was consuming more than they was, and I was acting crazier than they was. So I didn't want to be different. But I was a distinct class, a class above them. See, most of my people I grew up with, most of the people I've been around throughout my journey in life, you know, even in the military, all overseas, seemed like everywhere I went, I was drinking more than everybody else that was around me. So something was wrong. I thought something was wrong with them, right? Because they couldn't drink like me. So I used to call them wimps and wusses and this and that. And then here I am somewhere passing out and getting my butt in trouble. So eventually I had to come to see if something was wrong with me. It wasn't them. So, but then I like the point where Bill brings out about the idea that somehow, someday he will control and enjoy his drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. This is the insane part. You know, that idea, it starts in the mind. Remember, the mind of the alcoholic is bad. It really is. This is the life that we pursue, right? We want to drink, we want another drink. Bill calls it the mental obsession. So, to accomplish this, we try a myriad of different formulas with the same result, an inability to see the truth in life. I became obsessed with alcohol being my life. That was my master. I was ruled by alcohol. I couldn't live with it. I couldn't live without it. But when Bill talks about this illusion, right? So, when it comes to the illusion, okay, see the obsession, first the obsession is that idea that comes in the mind and it outweighs all other reasons why I shouldn't. So I got this idea in my mind, right? Well, I'll take a drink this next time. I'm gonna do better. I ain't gonna act like I did before. But that's a crazy idea. It's an insane idea. You already know it. I'm already knowing before I put that drink in me, I'm gonna act some kind of a different way. It ain't gonna be too good. Hey, my brother. So now he speaks about illusion. The illusion is the way that I see the world, the way I see reality, and it's not right because I'm living in a dream world. When I'm walking around barefoot with alcoholism, I'm in a whole different world. Your world don't matter. It was all about me, 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 me. That's the selfishness and self-centeredness that we alcoholics suffer from. Now, the delusion. See, Bill uses these different words to mean pretty much the same thing. That illusion, that's the lie that I tell myself. As I just shared, it's the delusion I can be like other people when the truth of the matter is I can't be. So that's a lie I'm telling myself. Well, I'm gonna drink like this person. I'm gonna drink less. Then when that we take that first drink, that allergy kicks in, that phenomenon of craving kicks in, and there's no shutting it off. No doubt about it. So check this out. Non-alcoholics, they don't break out in handcuffs when they drink. They can take one or two and they can go home. And they'll be all right. But a fool like me, every time I got to drink, I was subject to go to jail anytime. They used to handcuff me a whole lot of times because I'm out of control. So a real alcoholic, we cannot control this drink. We can't control it. We can't enjoy it, no matter how hard we try. So we alcoholics are men and women who have lost our ability to control our drinking. Now it says we know that no real alcoholic ever regains control, right? Well, it talks about the condition of the real alcoholic on page 21. We do absurd, crazy, insane things. We baffle by the alcoholism. We baffle by the feature of alcoholism. So this last paragraph that we discussed, this talks about the description of the progressive disease, and it is progressive because it says that all of us felt at times we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. After a few days sober, a week sober, a month sober, 6 months sober, well, I can go back and take a drink now because I can control it. But the book says once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. No alcoholic ever regains control. We don't cross that line. I tried this stuff for so many years, and I failed utterly every darn time. I couldn't do nothing about it, but just keep on drinking. But the problem is I found out it's called lack of power. I always thought I had all the power in the world. But I ain't have to go to no meetings. I ain't have to do this. I didn't have to do that. I ain't have to talk to no God because I thought I was God. I thought I could solve my own problem. But it never worked for a real alcoholic like me. Like I said, normal drinkers, they can take it or leave it alone. A heavy drinker, he can stop or moderate if something happens in his life and conditions vary for it. But for the real alcoholic like me, there is no hope. I was utterly hopeless, but the only solution is this vital spiritual experience. And that was gained by me taking the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. I had to be guided through a sponsor. I could not do this crap on my own. So then the book says at the bottom of page 31, right? It says, we are like men who have lost their legs. They never grow new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which can make alcoholics of our kind like other men. See, alcoholics of our type, we're in this progressive disease. And even if we stay sober for a little while, the disease is still progressing within us. Big Book talks of this as an illness, right? An illness of that sort. So, and then here on page 31, there's a couple of questions, right? That we can ask ourselves. Does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make you like other people? The answer is no. I tried it all. I tried medicine, all this other stuff. That didn't make me like other people. So another question we can ask ourselves is, do you believe that there is a thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic? No, just like when you turn that cucumber into a pickle, right? We can't take that pickle and change it back into a cucumber. Just like when the real alcoholic. When I became a real alcoholic, I could not turn myself back into another drinker. Science can't figure that out yet. So, we're dealing with a progressive and fatal illness. And it's progressive for the rest of our life. I will always be an alcoholic. But thanks to the grace of God, I am a recovered alcoholic today. So, there's another couple of questions we can ask ourselves. Have you tried long enough and hard enough to drink like other people? Yes, I did. I tried for 42 years to try to drink and be like other people, but I couldn't. I simply failed. I was going to always be the drunkest clown in the bunch. I was going to be the one to act the biggest fool in the bunch. No solution. That's all I knew. Another drink, another debacle, another trip to jail, another trip to prison, whatever. So then, on page 31, where it says, despite all we can say, yeah, and you can stop at the bottom where it says we can increase the list ad infinitum.
Yeah, sure.
Uh,
Despite all we can say, many who are real alcoholics are not going to believe they are in that class. By every form of self-deception and experimentation, they will try to prove themselves exceptions to the rule, therefore non-alcoholic. If anyone who is showing inability to control his drinking can do the right about face and drink like a gentleman, our hats are off to him. Heaven knows we have tried hard enough and long enough to drink like other people. Here are some of the methods we have tried. Drinking beer only, limiting the number of drinks, never drinking alone, never drinking in the morning, drinking only at home, never having it in the house, never drinking during business hours, drinking only in parties, switching from scotch to brandy, drinking only natural wines, agreeing to resign if ever drunk on the job, taking a trip, not taking a trip, swearing off forever, with and without a solemn oath, taking more physical exercise, reading inspirational books, going to health farms and sanitariums, accepting voluntary commitment to asylums. We could increase the list ad infinitum.
Okay, thank you, brother. No doubt about it. Despite all we can say, many who are real alcoholics are not going to believe they are in that class. I never thought I was a real alcoholic. I just thought I was a happy drinker, a normal drinker. But experience shows something quite different. No, fool, you ain't normal. You darn crazy. You can't handle your liquor. You can't control your liquor. So that's it. That's abnormal. So alcoholic like me, I have an abnormal reaction to alcohol. Man, that first one, it sets me off. So it was hard for anybody to convince me. I couldn't convince myself that I fell into this class that we read about on page 21, talking about the real alcoholic. No, I was not going to believe that. So it goes on to say, by every form of self-deception and experimentation, they will try to prove themselves exception to the rule, therefore non-alcoholic. I used to have other people calling me alcoholics, right? But I wouldn't accept it. I ain't no alcoholic. I just like to drink. But the truth of the matter is, it took me so long to find out that I was an alcoholic because I didn't know what an alcoholic was. I thought an alcoholic was a man that slept under the bridge, the man that took 30 minutes to walk down the street because he's too drunk, would take one step forward and six backwards, and they couldn't get home. I thought an alcoholic was the person who just went to jail every time they drank. But you know, none of these consequences made us alcoholic. What made us alcoholic? Because I had this darn mind problem. I have a malady of the mind. I don't have a defense against the first drink, right? And then the other symptom what made me a darn alcoholic is that I have an allergy in my body. When I take a drink, it sets off a phenomenon of craving, and it can't be put out. The more I drank, the thirstier I got. That's just the way it was in my experience. I could not feed that allergy enough. Of course, unless I passed out somewhere, which I hardly ever did, or I ended up in jail. That's normally where I ended up, was in jail. That's the only thing that stopped me from drinking till they let doors open and let me out and I pick up another darn drink. Then the same cycle over and over. So this is a vicious cycle. And then the book talks about, well, it says on another page, but you know, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. So in this chapter, we're going to be talking about the insanity, the insane idea of that first drink. So it brings me back to page 30, where we're talking about the idea that somehow, someday, we will control and enjoy our drinking. And Bill talks about this obsession, right? The obsession is not a symptom of alcoholism, it's simply a problem in the mind. So, and my greatest obsession, as we probably all can relate to this, our greatest obsession was with ourselves. Myself, I was trying to fix myself, but you know, a sick mind can't fix a sick mind. So I continued to drink and be baffled by alcoholism. So I tried all these other things that this book talks about. I tried hard and I tried long. So it said on 31, it says, if anyone who is showing inability to control his drinking can do the right about face and drink like a gentleman, our hats are off to him. Yeah, if they could do that, that'd be fine. So they could be a non-alcoholic. Very few cases probably have been proved that a real alcoholic will stay sober for the rest of his life without a vital spiritual experience, of course. So heaven knows we have tried hard enough and long enough to drink like other people, but I couldn't. I tried this over and over again. Every time I tried it, I fell on my butt again. I just couldn't do it. So then the book goes on to talk about drinking beer only. I done tried all these methods. Drinking beer. Then one time I tried drinking non-alcoholic beer. You know how long that crap lasted? About 2 darn days, and I had to go back to the real thing. So I would suggest no real alcoholic ever try to drink non-alcoholic beer, because it's going to take you right back down the road. You know, I tried this stupid stuff. Trying to limit the number of my drinks, right? I could not limit the drinks when I set off that phenomenon of craving. There was no limit. I couldn't shut that craving off. There's no way possible. I try to walk away from that liquor, then that doggone craving hit me, I got to go back and get it out. I ain't like pouring my liquor down the sink. I call myself trying to hide it from me, right? But I'm gonna go back and find that hiding spot when that allergy demands me to take another drink. Then you talk about never drinking alone. Well, shoot, that didn't bother me whether I drank alone or whether I drank around people. Even when I was around people, sometimes I felt like I was alone. But that still didn't stop me from drinking. Never drinking in the morning and only drinking at home, never having it in the house. No, I had to have it in the house because if I didn't, I had to take my drunk butt out the door and find some more. So none of this stuff worked to me. Switching from scotch to brandy, from wine to whatever, all the switches rules ain't do me no good. I used to beg people, tell people, if I stop, it's an example in the book, right? It says, agreeing to resign if ever drunk on the job, I'll stop. So my bosses knew I drank, right? So I go to work, they come get me one day. I get in the car, I'm too damn drunk to walk, right? So I said, I won't do it no more. I won't do it no more. Y'all forgive me today. Turn around the next day, I'm back at work drunk again. So they just said they put up with it. I guess they love my work, so they put up with it. But then I read inspirational books, right? Going to sanitariums. I went to psych wards, detox wards. I went to all them different wards. I went to jail many times. I went to prison several times. But that didn't stop me from drinking alcohol. It really did. So, but you know what the problem was? I was trying to be my own solution. And alcohol was my solution to every problem I had in life. Every problem I had in life. I simply take a drink and my problem looked like it disappeared. until the blue lights get to flashing behind me and they put them handcuffs on me. And off I go. Boom, boom, boom. Another trip to this place. Or the ambulance come pick me up. And I wake up in a psych ward somewhere an hour or two away. So, but that was my solution, man, of alcohol. So at the bottom of 31, it goes on to relate. We do not like to pronounce any individual as alcoholic, but you can quickly diagnose yourself, right? That's when this thing hit me hard over 3 years ago. When, like I said, all the meetings I was going to, they didn't offer me a solution. But the program is found in the first portion of this big book, right? So this is where they taught me what was wrong with me. Shoot, I thought I was insane for real. But the way I was acting was insane. Even when I was sober, it didn't feel good. And I still did insane things. Even the day or two, I might not drink. Baffled with depression, anxiety, fear, you name it. I had to list and finish them. Then when I took that drink, all them worries went away. All them care, because I done found a solution now. I done found what to make me feel better. I done found how I can make it through the day. But you know, when I learned the true nature of alcoholism, then I could tell myself, yes, Kim, you are a real darn alcoholic. There's no way around it. You got this allergy, you got this malady. You can't control the amounts you take. And you can't enjoy when you're trying to control it. You have these two symptoms of being a real alcoholic. That hit home to me. I said, okay, now here's the problem. The problem is me. The bottles were just but a symptom, right? But I'm the darn problem, myself. This alcohol just added fuel to the fire until I became sick from it. I developed an illness from it. The only relief we know, as the doctor said, in the doctor's opinion, is complete abstinence. But you know how we gonna get that abstinence? Well, for me, without taking the 12 steps, I couldn't continue to have abstinence. I had to have a program of recovery laid out to me until it connected me with a power that was greater than my own self. See, I was the kind of fool, but when I took that drink, I had all the power in the world. Shoot, I became a big dog. Head blowed up this big. Well, I can control this person, I can control this person, because I got what they might want. They want some of this alcohol or whatever else I might have had in my pocket, right? So that kind of made me feel like, well, I was playing God. Because I thought I was above these people. That's just the delusion of thinking that it comes from an alcoholic. Delusion. I lived in a delusion, man, for 42 darn years. That's too long for anybody. And I hope and pray nobody else have to suffer for that long as I have. So this is cool right here. So on page 32, Dan, let's talk about the man of 30. Here's an experiment here. I love this story right here.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
A man of 30, sorry, page 32. A man of 30 was doing a great deal of spree drinking. He was very nervous in the morning after those bouts and quieted himself with more liquor. He was ambitious to succeed in business, but saw that he would get nowhere if he drank at all. Once he started, he had no control whatever. He made up his mind that until he had been successful in business and had retired, he would not touch another drop. An exceptional man, he remained bone dry for 25 years and retired at the age of 55 after a successful and happy business career. Then he fell victim to a belief which practically every alcoholic has, that his long period of sobriety and self-discipline had qualified him to drink as other men. Out came the carpet slippers and the bottle. In 2 months he was in hospital, puzzled and humiliated. He tried to regulate his drinking for a while, making several trips to the hospital meantime. Then, gathering all his forces, he attempted to stop altogether and found he could not. Every means of solving his problem, which money could buy, was at his disposal. Every attempt failed. Though a robust man at retirement, he went to pieces quickly and was dead within 4 years.
Okay, thank you, brother. No doubt about it. Talking about my man of 30, right? Now, on this page, where you stopped at, Dan, the next paragraph is going to tell us once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic, right? So we never seen one single case where one of us was able to go back to successful drinking. This is an example from the first 100 men and women. So to believe anything different other than that is something that's not true. My personal experience, uh, I could never go back to being a normal drinker. So I found out this is true. But in my drinking career, I couldn't distinguish the true from the false. I always thought I could go back and control it. Always thinking, oh yeah, I got it this time. I know what to do the next time. That's what I used to tell myself. Shoot, it came out worse the very next time I tried this stuff. So just like my man 30 right here, he believed that after 25 years of being sober, right, he could now drink like normal people. This is that delusion again, right? We're looking at something that can be false when it comes to a real alcoholic. Now, based upon the belief that he took a drink, and we know what that drink did. It triggered that allergy, so he couldn't stop. And look at it, says 4 years later, he was dead. Now, this man, something in his mind told him, you can stay sober for this long. So he could stay sober as long as he had that job and he got did his career, right? So he did that. But when that career was over, he felt like, oh, okay, I can safely drink again, right? Boom, boom, boom. That's that darn delusion again, right? So he kept it, so he was dead in 4 years because of alcoholism. That's why I say, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. The allergy will forever be in our bodies when we turn into a real alcoholic. We can't reverse this thing. So, and that's a beautiful example, Bill, put in the book. See, because I used to think when I stayed sober in one of these treatment centers for 3 months, 6 weeks, or 90 days, it'd be safe for me to walk out the door and drink again. But the lie detector determined, no, it was never safe for you to drink again, Kim, because there was right back at the same point I just left off. Whether it was even a year, or 16 months, or 18 months. Each time I tried to be sober and drink again, it never gets better. Now, what's rescued from us when we take this course of action and we gain a connection to that power that's greater than ourselves, the malady can be arrested as long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. And see, the malady's job is to get us to take that first drink. And once we take that first drink, then it's off to the races. That's just the way it was in my life. So, we're going to find out this desperate experience about my man. That was his experience, though. He actually believed after being sober all this time, it was not going to hurt him to take a drink. But see, that's a lie that we tell ourselves. So another thing, it mentions here, right where in the paragraph on page 32, where it says, he was very nervous in the morning, right, after these bouts, and he quieted himself with more liquor. So he was ambitious to succeed in business, but saw that he could get nowhere if he drank at all. Now, this next sentence is gonna tell us about the allergy, right? Once he started, he had no control whatever. See, this was before he stopped drinking for them 25 years. The allergy was already present. So no matter how long we stay bone dry, if this allergy is present within us, we can stay bone dry for them many years. But then when we take that drink, that allergy gonna kick back in, that phenomenon of craving. See, we alcoholics, we are in a progressive illness. It gets worse, it never gets better. But the problem was, it was in his mind, because it says he fell victim to a belief, which practically every alcoholic has. Fell victim to a belief. A belief comes in the mind, it's a crazy idea, and it's delusional. In my case, it was very delusional. Thinking this period of sobriety and self-discipline had qualified me to drink like other men. So I thought I had disciplined myself. Oh, shit, I'm going to control this stuff next time I drink it. Yeah, but I'm going to drink me 3 or 4 and I'm going to go to sleep. That crap never happened with me. 3 or 4 led to 3 or 4 gallons or whatever it was. So then it goes on to mention on top of 33, It said this case contains a powerful lesson. Most of us have believed, here's another belief right here, that if we remain sober for a long stretch, we could thereafter drink normally. That's a delusion again, right? Obsession, delusion, or illusion. Bill talks about all these different things. And it's centered in our mind. We can believe all this stuff, but it's not true. We have to look at this as the truth. Because here's a man at 55 found he had just left off when he was at the age of 30, 25 years later. He took that first drink after he retired and it put him right back where he was when he quit. So the addict is still there just waiting. It's laying dormant, right? So just like if a fire goes out, right? It ain't gonna light up till we set some more fire to it, right? If the flames go out and they die down, they ain't gonna light back up unless we ignite the fire again. Just like alcoholism, when we sober, we go many years. If we take a drink, we're gonna set that fire off again, and boom, oblivion. It happened to me so many times, over and over and over again. So, and then page 32, it goes on to talk about young people. Young people become potential alcoholics too. So page 33, it's a couple of questions I had jotted down. So do you believe that to stop drinking, there must be no reservations of any kind or any lurking notion that we will be immune to alcohol? That's one question. Then the second question, can you stay stopped on your own willpower? Now, we'll read this and then I'll give us some experience from this. So Dan, where it says this case contains a powerful lesson, on down to where it says we will be immune to alcohol.
Sorry, what page was this again? Sorry.
Page 33. Right after where the man was dead within 4 years at the top of the page. And you say this case contains
sorry, beg pardon. I lost my page. I was bombing.
Okay.
This case contains a powerful lesson. Yep. Most of us have believed that if we remain sober for a long stretch, we could thereafter drink normally. But here is a man who at 55 years found he was just where he had left off at 30. Yeah. We have seen the truth demonstrated again and again. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Commencing to drink after a period of sobriety, we are in a short time as bad as ever. If we are planning to stop drinking, there must be no reservation of any kind, nor any lurking notion that someday we will be immune to alcohol.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Now, we talking about this case does contain a powerful lesson. See, there's that belief again, as I was mentioning a while ago. Then it says, we have seen the truth demonstrated over and over again. So we've seen people that may get sober for a period of time, and they'll fall victim again to this belief that, well, I've been sober so long, I can take a drink now and safe. But once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. This is a true statement. And I know this from experience, not from what nobody told me, or not what I've seen on television. I experienced this in my life. So it says, permission to drink after a period of sobriety. We are in a short time as bad as ever. Now this man, after he retired, 2 months later, he was already back in the hospital. 2 months. You done been bone dry for 25 years. You got your successful career together. You turned to that alcohol when you got activated that allergy, and 2 months later, you was back in the hospital. Wow, that's pretty quick throwdown. Then, as you say, 4 years later, the man was dead. Wow. So, but here's an important point that I'd like to bring out. I struggled with this here for a lot of years. If we are planning to stop drinking, there must be no reservation of any kind, nor any lurking notion that someday we will be immune to alcohol. How true that is. It seems like every time I try to get myself sober, I always had a reservation. Well, if this happens in my life, then I'll drink. If that happens or don't happen, then I'll drink. I always had something, and see, the reservation is stuck in the back of the mind, right? So that was the problem, because it continued to make me relapse. I was a relapse king. I relapsed. I got sent ordered to go to AA in 1983 when I was in the military. I didn't want that what they had and people had in them rooms. So them people were miserable. Y'all taking an hour out of my darn drinking time to be sitting up in here with y'all smoking these big cigar and sitting there talking about your cats, your dogs, your rats, and your hog. That ain't got nothing to do with me being in this Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. So I went back and told my commander, I ain't going back to that crap. Oh, you can write me up or do what you want to do. But he didn't write me up, no way. But I wasn't interested at the time. Until I started seeing that this stuff was a real problem. So somebody seen way back then that they recognized I had a drinking problem. That way back in 1983, 3 years in the military at that time. And they said, oh, you need to go to Alcoholics Anonymous. What for? They're going to help buy my liquor when I run low. That was the idea that I had. I was thinking, well, these people going to help me. So I thought I was doing good with buying my liquor. But if they're going to help me, then I'm going. But when I got there, it was a different story, and I ain't like it. I rejected it. No, I don't need this stuff. But, I had to let alcohol beat me down for the next 40 years before I learned something. I learned I can't control this stuff. I learned I can't enjoy it. I got cuts and bruises all over my body. Been in jail 20-something times. All that good stuff. For the simple reason, I'm an alcoholic. So going to jail didn't make me alcoholic. What made me alcoholic? I got this darn allergy. I got this malady of the mind. I got this illness that the big book talks about on top of page, what is this, 18, I believe it is. Yeah, on top of page 18 in our big book, it talks about an illness of this sort. And we have come to believe it an illness. It involves those about us in a way no other human sickness can. The illness that we suffer from is quite different. People don't like to sympathize with us alcoholics, but if you got cancer or diabetes or something, they may come pat you on the back and pray for you. But if you're alcoholic, they first thing think, oh, this food is crazy. We need to lock him up in a nut ward, right? Ain't nothing wrong with him. He can stop if he wanted to. That comes from lack of understanding of alcoholism, Pete. What we call it in the big books is frothy emotional appeal. It seldom suffices. Well, why don't you go? Why you can't stop drinking? Because you got such a beautiful wife. He got everything going for him. He got a car, he got a job. You too nice of a fella to be drinking. That stuff don't work for a real alcoholic. That ain't gonna solve our problem. It make us drink more. It made me drink more because I got the big head. I said, shoot, I'm gonna go celebrate it with another drink, another chip. Shoot, 3 decades in this fellowship before I got the real message. But anyway, I'm gonna skip a page here, a page. Let me see. Okay, yeah. Top of page 34. Yeah, top of page 34, bro. I'm gonna read this short paragraph. It says, as we look back, we feel we had gone on drinking many years beyond the point where we could quit on our own willpower. If anyone questions whether he has entered this dangerous area, let him try leaving liquor alone for a year. If he is a real alcoholic and very far advanced, there's a scant chance of success. In the early days of our drinking, we occasionally remain sober for a year or more, becoming serious drinkers again later. Though you may be able to stop for a considerable period, you may yet be a potential alcoholic. We think few to whom this book will appeal can stay dry anything like a year. Some will be drunk the day they make their resolutions, most of them within a few weeks. And how true that is in my life. As we look back, we have been going on drinking many years beyond the point where we could quit on our own willpower. You know, willpower is never enough for a real alcoholic. Self-knowledge, willpower, none of this is good enough. That's not the solution for our alcoholism. Because this thing is so powerful, we can't will it away. I don't care what we do. tried to wheel my drinking, my alcoholism away. It didn't work. I couldn't get that dream Regina or Bewitched to twist their nose and make it go away. It just didn't work. I had to take this, I had to get the solution through the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. So then, this is the mental twist. Like I said, the problem of the alcoholic is sinners in the mind. Sinners in the mind rather than in the body. When the mind tricks us into the idea, well, okay, it's fine to have a drink right now. Boom, it's over with. Oblivion. It happens every time for a real alcoholic. So if anyone questions whether he has entered this dangerous area, let him try leaving liquor alone for 1 year. No, I couldn't leave it alone. I'd have a headache on the days I'd be sober because only thing was gonna cure it was another drink. Only way I could last a year if I was locked up, and that happened quite a couple of times. That's the only way I could do it. But I didn't feel right sober. This didn't feel right. It didn't. So then, if it says if he is a real alcoholic and very far advanced, there's a scant chance of success, no doubt. There's very little chance of success. An alcoholic of my type, I'm utterly helpless and I'm hopeless. Without a solution, I go on to the bitter end. That means death or end up in an insane asylum, right? So we have two alternatives. One is to accept spiritual help, or the other is to go on to the bitter end, no doubt. So then it goes on to talk about, though you may be able to stop for a considerable period, right? You may yet be a potential alcoholic. You know, Bill, when he was taking his law course, he mentioned the fact back in his story that a potential alcoholic that I was. That's when Bill was starting to see a few signs of his drinking, signs that I wouldn't even pay attention to. I seen the early signs many years ago, but I couldn't pay him no attention. So I was a potential alcoholic probably at the age of 16 because I was drinking a lot then when I was still in high school. So it says, we think few to whom this book will appeal can stay dry anything like a year. Some will be drunk the day after making their resolutions, most of them within a few weeks. Man, you know, years ago, I used to make all these old New Year's resolutions. I paint them on my heart and say, I promise I ain't doing it no more. Shoot, that same evening, New Year's Day come in, when the clock strike 12, shoot, my family go to sleep. By 2 o'clock, I'm sneaking in the kitchen, pouring the drink down my throat. So by the time they wake up, I'm drunk and passed out already. Well, what happened to your resolution? Well, I start on it again next year. But that's what we do. We are some great liars. Well, we'll promise people the world, right? Only to destroy it with another drink. That's my experience right there. I could promise the crap out of somebody. They ain't gonna do this again. Ain't gonna do it again. I ain't drinking no more. I'm sick. I need to go to the doctor. I'm sick. That was just an excuse to go out and get another darn drink for me, y'all. I don't know about y'all, but that's my experience. Man, resolutions, reservations. So evidently over the years, I guess after so many years of practicing the line, I had to stop making resolutions. I said, well, I ain't gonna make none this year. So I ain't made none in quite a few years. So it never did do me no good. Because it was a lie when it come out my mouth anyway. I wasn't planning on stopping drinking. Heck no, I'll tell you that to get you off my back. Only when you turn your back, I'm reaching for that bottle. The next thing you know, it's oblivion. So wow, what an experience. So I'm gonna go down to the bottom, the middle part of page 34. I'm getting short on time. I get this one, Dan. I get this one, Dan.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, for those who are unable to drink moderately, the question is how to stop altogether. You know, I'm happy for moderate drinkers, right? Because they can control how much they drink. They can control how they act. They don't have the energy, right? So they good. They can take one. I see someone take one drink, and they'll pour another one and can't even finish that one. They'll walk off and leave it. Shoot, I said, oh, wait, y'all, that's alcohol abuse. Shoot, y'all leaving whiskey laying around and you ain't drinking it. You're in there throwing it up. That's abusing alcohol. Why you throwing it up? Because they can't handle it. They're not alcoholics like me. So, but we are assuming, of course, the reader desires to stop, right? And then it goes on to say whether such a person can quit up on a non-spiritual basis depends upon the extent to which he had already lost the power to choose whether he would drink or not. I've lost the power whether I drink or not a long time ago. In the beginning, it started out on the weekends, and shortly after that, it started out 3-4 times a week. Shortly after that, it graduated to 7 days a week. I tried to limit the hours, then it went on to 24 hours a week. I drank on the job, I drank off the job. I used to sleep with a whiskey bottle under my pillow so I wouldn't have to even get up and pull something down my throat before it was time for me to get up and go to work. Oh man, but you know what? In the same paragraph here on bottom of page 34, it says, this is the baffling feature of alcoholism as we know it. This utter inability to leave it alone, no matter how great the necessity or the wish. The utter inability to leave it alone. Remember, I just talked about willpower. I could not wish this will to drink away. I couldn't wish it away. I couldn't will it away, no matter how hard I tried. Thank God for this Alcoholics Anonymous program. See, because when I tried to run myself, thought I was running the show. Oh no, this stuff this stuff beyond my pay grade, y'all. Wasn't nothing I could do but bow down to its demands until I found a solution. And you know, the solution is found, the spiritual solution. That was the answer to my problem. And since I took these 12 steps, I since recovered from alcoholism. And it's given me the power to help other people today. And it's a blessing from God. We talked about that power greater than ourselves. In case anybody wondering, I want to share something on page 55 of our big book. And it'll be about the middle of the page. And it reads, actually, we were fooling ourselves, for deep down in every man, woman, and child is the fundamental idea of God. It may be obscured by calamity, by pomp, by worship of other things, but in some form or other, it is there. For faith and a power greater than ourselves, and miraculous demonstrations of that power in human lives are facts as old as man himself. We finally saw that faith in some kind of God was a part of our makeup, just as much as the feeling we have for a friend. Sometimes we had to search fearlessly, but he was there. He was as much a fact as we were. We found the great reality deep down within us. In the last analysis, it is only there that he may be found. It was so with us. The first 100 men and women shared, this is where the power is found. So we suffer from a lack of power. That was our dilemma. Then the big book asks us where and how do we find this power? Well, the main object of this book is to enable you to find a power that is greater than yourself, which will solve your problem. And it did for me after during the 40 years in the fellowship of trying to fix my own self, fix my own problems. I've been to many programs, probably 15 different treatment centers, and they didn't give me the solution. The solution was found here in Alcoholics Anonymous, where it tells us in the beginning of the book, the main purpose of this book. Hold on, I'll tell you in just a minute. It says, forward to the first addiction on page XIII. It relates, we of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, to show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. No doubt about it. So for them, we hope these pages will prove so convincing that no further authentication will be necessary. So this is where it tells us the main purpose of this book. They're going to show us precisely how they recovered. This will be Bill and the first 100 men and women. And they got it all laid out for us. So we don't have to argue this book. It was just simply, in my case, I had to have somebody to take me through it until I reached a vital psychic change and spiritual experience. And today, living in step 11, it gives me a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of my spiritual condition. Every day ain't perfect, but you know what? My worst day sober better than the best day I ever been drunk. Thank God for that. I love this new life that God has given me today through the AA program. See, my religion didn't solve my problem. But it took me to go through Alcoholics Anonymous to gain a relationship with a power that was greater than myself, and it commenced to solve my problem. So now I can depend on that power to keep me sober today, because I couldn't get myself sober. I can't keep myself sober. Only God can for a real alcoholic like me. So I want to thank everybody for being here today. Happy Sunday again. God bless. I hope somebody got something out of it. And next week we'll probably finish there, more about alcoholism. And then we'll touch on other parts of the book. So thanks for letting me share with y'all.